Hello, everybody. You are looking live at the event of the year. Every year, I say this about Every Man Can. When I say every year for the past 2 years, and this is the third annual, I'm so proud that Lee Pitts Live has been able to come to all of these. And hopefully, God willing, I won't miss any in the future as well. Very few things on my schedule supersedes the Every Man Can conference, and this one in 2024 with emphasis on the word stand. We see it in the background on the camera, and we're going to get the details of that choice and all of that behind the brains of the operation. He's a very modest guy. He doesn't like to, I can tell by it. I look at the program, I said, Pastor Glover, get everybody involved, just like a point guard. He's a point guard. Point guard distributes the ball like a quarterback, gets everybody involved for the team. Pastor Glover, is that the best way to describe it?
I think that's very accurate, absolutely.
You got everybody involved. This is the Reverend Dr. William Glover of Mount Hermon Church, the community's pastor, and I take that to heart. Also, the Lee Pitts Live Person of the Year award that goes to the Church of the Year bears the name of Mount Hermon Church in perpetuity. And thank you for coming out to the Person of the Year awards to make some comments.
Well, we're committed to be there annually, and we're deeply honored that we chose to name the award to the Church of the Year after our congregation in honor of the ways in which we seek to serve our community. So we are deeply appreciative of that.
And because of, as we move to the conference, but I hadn't had a chance to sit down with you since then, because of what you were doing in the community, it hit me out of the blue. Hey, we need a Church of the Year award. And I got the perfect church.
Yeah.
And then that started the ball to work. Now I don't tell you these type of things. I get texts and calls all the time from behind the scenes of churches who want that award.
Oh, they call? Solicitate for it.
Yeah, people don't show any modesty. Hey, Pastor Glover, doing this job that I do, I know so much about people that the world would never know. But in this case, they like, hey, keep passing us over.
I am a bit surprised to hear that. However, I think you've done an amazing job with selecting congregations. And I think everyone that you've selected thus far certainly have been worthy of the award, because they do seek to actively engage and serve beyond the walls of their church.
What does that say about our community in the sense of, especially you're a better person to speak about it because of your efforts in bringing together and putting together the ministerial alliance, ecumenical, I think I got all the words in there. You can fix it for me. What does that say about the quality of churches that, particularly in the black community, that still exists? And you often talk about it is still the foundation.
Absolutely. The church in any community, and the African American community in particular, is really the essential institution because it trains leaders, it transmits values, and it has the power to transform community. And of course, African American Church still serves that role, and many churches also serve as an economic engine to communities because they also employ and provide programming. And I use this phrase in regard to communities of color, is that it is the most enduring institution, because of course we know that with integration, a lot of institutions that were black owned have been assimilated. But the church has maintained its identity and its role in the spiritual, social, and economic life of African American communities.
Coming right out of slavery.
Well, and even before.
During slavery.
Absolutely. And of course, religion and the Bible can be used in oppressive ways if that's the filter through which someone is reading. But the church and the history and the lineage of African American church have always viewed Scripture through the lens of God being a liberator and a deliverer, and that's the message that has endured. That God is the God of the oppressed, and that He liberates people from all forms of oppression, be it spiritual, political, economic, social.
If we didn't have that unquenching faith that brought us through those turbulent times, it was faith that brought us through those turbulent times of slavery.
Well, absolutely, and faith, and also faith leaders. Many of the great heroes of the struggle for abolition were people of faith, and drew upon that faith and that understanding that God created all men equal, and that God was a God of liberation and not of oppression, and that sustained and fueled the abolitionist movement through many faith leaders.
Well said. Now we're here. People can see this conference here, and the key word stand. Each year there's a word or a phrase that is selected. This year, stand. It's men. Why stand?
We chose the word stand as an encouragement to men, but also as a declaration and standing order. And each speaker is teaching, training men to stand in strategic areas of their lives where men frequently fail or fall. So the charge and the encouragement to stand for your family, because family life can be difficult. We were talking about some of the challenges off camera, and for man don't understand the charge from God to stand through that, he'll often flee or abandon his position in his family, and of course that creates all kinds of problems. Stand in a crisis. We all go through crisis. God has called us to stand through it. We stand through it, then we emerge from it better situated to manage and deal and be the influence that God has called us to be. So for each topic area, we're teaching to why it's essential for a man to stand in his integrity as a member. Stand and be heard. Stand after you have fallen. And then, of course, I'm going to be ministering in a few moments on stand in your calling, because one of the things I'll talk about is that every man has a calling. We think about the calling only in terms of the calling to preach, or the calling to teach or to ministry, but God has called every man, which speaks to his purpose and his assignment in life.
We're in June. I can't recall every time I've come, but has it been in June? This is always in June.
Always in June.
People who are watching now and saying, "How about next year?" Listen to us on the radio as well. It's always in. Is it the second week in June?
The Every Man Can conference is always in June, and it is always the weekend before Father's Day.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. And so whatever Father's Day is, it's the weekend before. Yeah. So it's the lead into Father's Day.
Put it on your calendar for next year. You do not want to miss this. And I don't know if in the past you had the program the night before, but I noticed you had one this time.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That was a new addition. Of course, we do a survey after every year. And after last year, the men were saying they wanted an extra night. And so when we began to poll people and seek consultation, the most common thing men wanted was a night of worship. And so we had a men's only night of worship, about 100 men here last night, and it was just worship and prayers, and it was a very powerful night. There's nothing like having a room full of men worshiping God.
Come over here and spoke, and I asked them what have they lost like so much about the conference. Because, of course, I knew there was an event the night before based on what I've read. And that came out of their mouth. They said, "Hey, last night, Lee."
Oh, my God. The worship was amazing. The prayers were powerful. Dr. Anthony White from Bible-Based Church in Tampa spoke to men on standing in the armor of God, and the way he delivered that. I'd never heard it delivered that way before, but it resonated so powerfully with men. Men responded to the altar call, and you're talking about men praying and calling out to God. And I will say this: there's nothing so beautiful as a man who embraces his spirituality. Because a man is, if a man is able to embrace his spirituality and be sensitive and be in relationship with God, he's going to be able to transcend that to every other relationship in his life. I tell women all the time who are looking for a husband to find a man who knows how to talk to God, who is sensitive to God. That man will know how to talk to you. And that man will be sensitive
Y'all
with you.
just heard it from the Reverend Doctor. Guy always got some wisdom. Reverend Doctor, take us through today. We've already had our opening program. We'll get to Dr. Phil, but I want you to come current. People are hearing this gentleman in the background. Who is he? What is his topic? And then take us back to Phil, and then take us through the whole day of what will take place.
The day is filled, and again, we're depositing in men as much as we can in the 6-hour time frame that we have for this conference. Everything is on time because we want the men to receive. You know me.
I made it on time, so I
exactly. You
after the
did.
fact. But I think in your mind, though, you always say, it's got to be something major if Lee not here.
Well, no, I knew your son had the tournament,
Right.
and I wanted to be on record saying if that's where you were, I would have understood because family's important.
No, I knew that when
Family's important. But yes, we have 2 general sessions, and then we have a total of 5 breakout sessions for the men to choose from. And the day is filled from transitioning from one to the other with some worship and a lunch and a breakfast in the mix. So it's a full day.
It's outstanding. I think you're going to. I looked at the program. I don't think I saw you as a presenter. You're more of a closing remarks and
No,
remarks
I
kind of
am.
guy.
Actually, my session is coming up. I'm doing the 2nd general session. That's where everybody is together.
Okay.
So that session is immediately after lunch. So
Okay.
I'll be presenting here shortly.
And if you see me doing an interview or 2 back here, just know I'm trying to cover your event. I'm going to get people but I'm going to try to shut down stuff when you up there.
We've been working together for a long time, so I got it.
When I'm doing these little interviews, I'm only taking one person. Everybody got 20 back. And I'm getting video, and you see me doing what I'm doing. This is just outstanding. Look at all these men coming through here, man.
Yeah, about 140 men.
Yeah, we don't see these kind of positive images every day.
Not enough. But there are men who love God, love their community, and love their families.
I don't know if you got to run back up to the podium now. Do you? Are you the MC?
In a minute here, so
okay.
yeah.
When people leave here, taking into consideration what happened last night and all of that, what do you hope they take from this whole experience of Every Man Can Stand?
Empowerment.
Okay.
That if you're going through a difficult time in your marriage, in your family, you don't abandon, you don't run from that. You stand there, you consult God, you seek wisdom, but you're present. If you're in the midst of a crisis, the crisis don't last always. Stand, live through it. Every man receives attacks in his integrity, his character. Withstand those attacks, and God will bring you through on the other side, and so forth. We want every man leaving feeling that regardless of what's going on in their life, they're equipped and they're empowered to stand through it because they understand that's what God has called them to do, and that He will see them through it.
When you saw the response to the altar call this morning after Reverend Dr. Phil did his presentation, how did that inspire you even more? I mean, it was something special, wasn't it?
It's always special, and it moves me to tears, and it's a validation and confirmation of why this is needed.
That's right.
People think that, there are no men in the church. Well, this gathering kills that lie. There are men in the church, yet who love God. Church isn't just for women. Men are vitally important to churches and to communities, and the church is still a training ground for men. So it was just amazing to see those men.
Dr. Phil as well.
Dr. Phil did an amazing job. I reached out to him and said, listen, I feel like your topic is a topic we need to open with. And so I asked him to open with that topic because, number one, the topic would resonate, and number two, I knew that he's such a skilled communicator that he would deliver it in a way that would set the tone for the conference. And he did that.
Both of y'all goats, man.
He did
y'all
that.
Goats.
He
You
did
the goat.
that.
You the goat. You the goat. Now let me say that. You the goat. It's one goat. Can't have
Well,
two goats.
listen, I'm just testifying what I saw. Okay.
Hey, what happens after these conferences are over? Is there a follow-up? I notice people write notes and books and things like that.
Yes. Everyone has a program, and they get to write their notes in it. There is a follow-up. I follow up and have a time to reflect with the clergy that are involved. We brainstorm about what we can do to make it better next year. I try to get early commitments of those who are returning. And then I follow up with my leadership team who helped put this on, because I don't put this on by myself. I've got an amazingly strong men's leadership team. So we have follow-up meetings, and we do post-evaluations and make notes for things that we're going to do different to help make it better next year. That is how the worship night was added as part of that evaluation process.
Excellent. Bring us up to speed in Cliff Notes on the ecumenical men.
Greater Community
Go.
Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance.
Say that again in slow motion.
The Greater Community Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance.
All right, now y'all
acronym
see the life
GSIMA.
of a talk show host.
Yes. Still working quietly behind the scenes on behalf of our community, primarily still walking through this process with Lee Health as they're transitioning from public to public nonprofit hospital. I do want to say we're very successful in influencing them on those covenant agreements, getting them in place that provide protections for safety net for the underinsured and uninsured. In fact, they lifted verbatim what we presented to them and worked them into their covenant statements. So,
Is that a long document?
it's a legal document. Yes.
How can I get my hands on it? I got an interview coming up with Dr. Antonucci.
I've got a draft copy.
Just you can email it to me.
Yes, I've got a draft copy that I
bring
can
it
forward
up
to
in
you.
the interview.
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes, I got a draft copy I can share with you. So we're going to be reporting out on that. We're waiting to see what it is they're going to be proposing to the county commissioners. So we're going to be seeking to engage the county commissioners next to have a concluding statement about where that is on behalf of the community. So we're still very much involved, working behind the scenes to make certain that community is taken care of in this process.
Is the Ministerial Alliance going to be watching and positioning itself for the upcoming political elections?
We're going to be engaged in a number of ways. One way, we've already began discussing a candidates forum for the fall that will be hosted by the 16 churches of the Alliance. And also, we're going to be coordinating amongst ourselves, putting a process and a procedure in place, and also seeking to engage other churches in a coordinated way who are not a part of the Alliance in a Souls to the Polls initiative to make certain that we get a great turnout.
Okay, outstanding. Finally, when you make your presentation today, what is your topic and what are you trying to get across to the audience?
My topic, simply as I said earlier, it's entitled Every Man is Called, and the calling is to stand in whatever circumstance that you are doing. And the important thing about the calling is the unctioning and the assignment from God. And what's important about that, if you understand that it is God who has given you that assignment, and it is God who's given you the grace to see it through that assignment, that strength and encouragement is there, because if you don't understand the what, you understand the why.
I see.
And sometimes what will keep us going, we don't understand the what, is knowing the why.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'll be speaking to.
What is the response to women in the churches to a men's conference?
Women love it. Let me tell you something, and I don't know how this is going to sound, but I do a lesson where I talk about the connection between spirituality and sexuality. Spirituality is sexy. It's the new sexy. Women love spiritual men.
Okay.
I'm trying to help men understand. You want to win the heart of your woman? Flowers are good, roses are good, having suave and all that stuff is good. But when a woman loves God, Did she see that reflection of God in you? Man, that, because what that helps establish is intimacy and closeness.
Y'all heard it from
You've been married any
Denzel,
length of
Billy
time,
D.
you understand how important that is to sustain a relationship. Because after a while, you get familiar physically with each other, right? But when you have that intimate connection, you can't replicate that with everybody.
Okay.
See, so if you have it, you don't go looking for it.
That is correct.
Right? And if you don't have it, something's missing, so you find yourself looking for something. So developing that intimacy, that connection, and there's nothing to help establish that more than shared spirituality.
We're going to leave it at that. Defense Live is so thrilled to be here. We got more interviews coming up. We got the mastermind here. Remember, Miami might have the oranges, but the Every Man Can men's conference with emphasis on staying this time, 2024, has got the juice. We'll be right back.
Hello everybody, this is Lee. I'm so glad that you watched that particular show, and if you enjoyed that show, we got other shows like that. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch Lee Pitts Live on demand anytime, and also hit us up on all our social media platforms. Just type in Lee Pitts Live, and there you go.